I'm going to tell you the story of Dmitri Mendeleev, who was a very talented man, a great scientist, who was fated to make his greatest discovery in his sleep. So in 1849, Dmitri Mendeleev was 15 years old. He lived in Siberia, in Tobolsk, and he had managed to finish school at the age of 15. But he couldn't legally have a school diploma before he was 16. But his mother managed to make a small forgery and change his age. Since he was so studious and good at his letters, it was decided that it would be a good idea if he went to university. But the university was in Moscow, and Moscow was 2,000 kilometers away, a very long and expensive train ride. But his mother managed to find money, and so Dmitri and his sister and his mother all boarded the train, and they made this long trip to Moscow. When they went there to apply for a place in the university for Dmitri, they found that he could not be enrolled in university because he hadn't finished high school in Moscow. And what to do? They boarded another train and made another huge trip, 650 kilometers to St. Petersburg. But when they went there, they found that even there, in the university, he couldn't be enrolled because he hadn't finished high school in St. Petersburg. But his mother remembered that someone who knew his father, Dmitri's father, who had died some time ago, was a teacher there in the university, and he might help him. And the good man did. And so Dmitri was able to take the examinations for entrance in the university, and he finished with flying colors. And so he was accepted. And his studies went well until hard luck hit them. His mother got ill and died. And soon after his mother, his sister, she got ill and she died too. And all this sorrow and pain hit the young Dmitri Mendeleev very hard, and he got ill. He got ill enough to be taken to hospital, and his studies went back. After he got better, he was accepted in the university again, and he had to struggle, but he managed to finish the course in the university. After that, he was accepted in the teacher training school, and there he finished after 2 years of studying with flying colors. He even got the gold medal for excellence. When he finished the teacher training school, he had to teach at a school for 2 years. But young Dmitri, he wanted to become an academic, a teacher and a scientist in university and a researcher. To do that, he had to obtain more degrees. He managed to get a scholarship, and he went abroad. He went to Germany, and he studied in the workshop of the chemist Robert Bunsen. And while he was abroad, he attended conferences, and there he heard a speech made by an Italian chemist, an Italian called Cannizzaro, who made a very deep impression on young Dmitri Mendeleev, and it changed his life. It was a speech on Cannizzaro's way of calculating the atomic weights of elements. After he got his degrees, he was finally accepted as a teacher in the university. He was a professor of chemistry. As a professor of chemistry, he had to organize his textbooks, but he found that there was no textbook good enough for his own needs. So Dmitri Mendeleev started to write his own textbook to be able to teach at the university. But he needed a better system for organizing the elements. And this thought took up all of his time, and he studied and he studied and he tried. But he was a man who was interested in many things. So he was involved in an agricultural society. And one night, in the middle of winter in February, a knock was heard on his door. He opened, and there was a coachman. And the coachman said, "The agricultural society has sent me to take you for a tour to look at cheese farms." And Mendeleev, he just couldn't imagine going out to look at cheese farms and leaving his studies and leaving. He was on the brink of something, he knew it. So he said, "Please, please, not tonight. Tell them we will do this in a few days." And the coachman left. And Dmitri went back to his desk. And his brain was so full of all these ideas. He felt very tired. And he did what he usually did when his brain was spinning around with all these elements. He took out his deck of cards and started to play a game of solitaire, laying out the cards on his desk. But he was so tired and so sleepy that sleep overtook him. He laid his head to rest on that desk and fell deeply asleep. When he woke up, he had seen a dream, an image of how the elements could be organized. He had seen little cards, like his solitaire cards, but they had the names of elements and the atomic weights. And he said, that's an idea. Maybe they can be organized by property and atomic weight. So he took out another deck of cards, blank index card, and he started laying them out and writing on these little cards the names of the elements and their atomic weights, and organize them in shapes and piles by ascending order of their atomic weights according to their properties. And that is how Dmitri Mendeleev discovered the periodic table of elements. He didn't have all the information. They hadn't discovered all the elements yet, and they didn't know all the atomic weights. So he left blank cards. And he said that maybe in this card there must be an element that has such and such properties according to its atomic weight. At the same time, in different parts of the world, other scientists made similar tables. But Mendeleev's is the greatest because he also predicted, truly, it seems, the existence of other elements and their properties which were up to then unknown.